Hey everybody, and welcome back to Storytime with JRP. We're continuing my book, Laurence Grey, Secret of the Lost Roanoke Colony, and we're currently in chapter 52. So if you're just joining us, head back to chapter 1 so you don't miss any crucial details. So a brief recap of chapter 51. Laurence Grey just found out that his wife, Denise, was the assassin all along. And then he ran into President Terry, who promoted Grey to the rank of colonel. Then Grey took a company of troops to try to jump in some tanks before the Roanoke colonists could get there, but the tanks were all bombed, and every single one of them died except Grey, and now he realized that all the colonists have raided into Area 51, and looks like they're about to take over. So what will Grey do? Well, we'll find out now in Chapter 52, titled Roanoke Army versus Area 51, Part 2. Colonel Laurence Grey, now alone, raced back into the Area 51 base, where the Roanoke Army had entered just a few minutes ago. Grey reached the war strategy room after a short sprint, and quite a shocking and gruesome scene lay before him. Bodies were strewn around the room, covering every chair, every table, and nearly all the floor space. Grey, in shock, slowly stepped in between the multiple corpses on the way to the next doorway. As he stepped over a few, he stopped and did a double take. Directly below the ground lay General Farragut and Vice President Meyer, their eyes still open, boring straight into Grey's soul. Grey realized with a start that he is now the Vice President of the United States. Normally, a VP would be elected with the President, but with unofficial times, this was war. There wasn't any time for such protocols, and if anyone objected, the order for his promotion was given by the President himself. Grey recovered from his continued shock to take a quick visual survey of the room. He was relieved and worried at the same time when he discovered that his wife and Jason were not among the bodies. He rushed out of the room and into the hallway. He started to hear foreign gunshots, probably Roanoke ray guns. He sprinted down the long hallway, suddenly aware of how integral he now was to the continued existence of Area 51 and the United States. Denise and Jason Grey had come to the same conclusion of Laurence about the Roanoke Army wanting to reach the time machine. The pair ran right by all the security checkpoints, since they were currently unmanned, in light of the ensuing battle. Jason reached the time machine first. "Here, Jason," said Denise, handing her son a machine gun that she had strapped to her leg. "Whoa, Mom, this is going to be fun." Denise got out her own machine gun from another leg and bent down to stare at Jason. "Jason, this is serious. Together, it'll be up to you and me to defend this time machine. I'm sorry you have to be in this situation at such a young age, and sorry for abandoning you. I just couldn't live with your dad anymore. I have to admit it may have been the wrong choice. But right now, we need to face the facts. The Roanoke Army will soon be here, and we're all that's stopping them from what they want. With the time machine, they could take over the world within a few minutes. So whatever happens, do your best, and know that despite the differences between you and me and your dad, I will always love you." Jason looked up to her, struggling to hold in the tears. "I know, Mom." Laurence Grey rushed into the time machine room to find at least 50 Roanokeans firing on Denise and Jason, who were both holding bulletproof shields with their other hand and firing with the other. Grey was frozen. He was unarmed, and if he attempted to save them, it would mean certain death. But his hesitancy cost him. Right in front of his eyes, with no way to stop it, the Roanoke Army gunned down his long-lost wife and his only son. He suddenly felt like his heart had been ripped out of him. He may be next to 50 soldiers, but in reality, he felt truly, utterly alone. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the shocking scene. He couldn't believe it. He had been alongside his wife for months while looking for the colony and didn't even know it. The first and only conversation he'd had with her since her fake death was an argument. An argument! Why couldn't he just agree and let her be right for once? Grey regretted so much that that was the last time he spoke to her. And then there was Jason. Grey choked. Just thinking about Jason in the past threatened to bring up tears again. It started with Grey surfing around the internet and stumbling upon the Area 51 site. Then he was forced to continue his search in order to keep the threat of killing Jason at bay. And just 15 minutes after finally reuniting with his son, Grey lost him forever. There wouldn't be another big bluff by General Phil Sheldon that revealed Jason to be alive again. Jason wasn't coming back. Gray was suddenly jerked back to real life when he realized one soldier of the Roanoke Army had his gun trained on Gray. Gray expected to be dead in a few seconds. That makes it all right, he thought. Now I'll be with my wife and son forever. Gray closed his eyes and waited, but the bullets never came. Gray opened his eyes to see that someone had grabbed the gun out of the soldier's hands. It was General Phil Sheldon, a.k.a. Philip Swanson. You don't need to shoot him, my friend, Phil chuckled, looking down at the prone body of Jason. I think this is far worse punishment. Gray was furious, but when he stepped forward, the soldiers brought their guns up again. It was nice working with you, Gray, said Sheldon, but in a few minutes, using the time machine's time-stopping ability, we will have taken over the world, and there's nothing you can do about it. You thought I was after riches when we searched the colony, but this was my goal all along. Enjoy the next few minutes as a free man, because in a few days I will personally ensure that you will become my slave. Sheldon laughed maniacally. Gray wondered if he was completely sane. Sheldon turned to the majority of his army. A few of us will systematically take over the capitals of various countries by holding their leader captive. Then, in real time, the rest of you will get into a flight to Washington to bring our reinforcements. Good luck, boys. And with that, Gray watched helplessly as Sheldon stepped into the time machine with 12 other elite soldiers. Sheldon turned back to the army. In a few minutes, my dream of becoming world emperor will happen. Let the reign of Emperor Philip Swanson begin. The army cheered, and Gray looked down. He had failed. He watched as the time machine disappeared, and the rest of the army raced out of the room. Gray could hear them hopping into hundreds of army jeeps, no doubt headed to the nearest airport. Finally, the room was silent. Gray walked over to the bodies of Jason and Denise. That's when it hit him. He had failed Denise as a husband, and failed Jason as a father. And he had failed to save the Earth from a tyrant. The alternate reality Jason had warned him that it might happen to be World War III if Sheldon went too far. And now, it looks like that just might happen. What an insane chapter, guys. In a shocking twist, Lawrence's wife and son are now dead, and all the other ranking officers are dead as well, with Sheldon well on the way to taking over the world. Is there any last hope for Gray? Well, you're going to have to find out in tomorrow's chapter, guys. All right? I'll see you then.